Earlier this week, the chairman of the NHS, Michael Grant, came out and said that if the economy don't pick up, that the NHS will have to start charging people for treatment as early as 2015. Now, let me make two predictions for you right now. One, my first prediction will be the economy is not going to pick up by 2015. That's the first prediction. And my second prediction is, even if the economy does pick up somewhat by 2015, they're still going to start charging for the NHS. Right? Now, let me tell you why this is so outrageous. If you're any of you out there who are not informed enough to realize why this is so outrageous, let me explain it to you right now. They say basically this is going to be scrapping so-called free healthcare that we get in the UK. First and foremost, there is no free healthcare in the UK. Right? There is no free healthcare. We pay for the NHS with national insurance contributions. Alright? What the NHS is it's subsidized healthcare. It means we don't pay the full amount for treatment as individuals, but collectively we do pay the full amount for the NHS. Right? The NHS is 100% funded by taxpayers' money. Alright? So collectively together we pay for the NHS. But as an individual going in, right, I might never have a major operation. I might not use NHS treatment much, but the next person might have cancer or whatever. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's subsidized healthcare treatment, but we pay for it. Right? If you've paid national insurance, then you've paid into the NHS. Alright, so there's no such thing as free healthcare. Let's get that out of the way first. So if they introduce charges for the NHS, in effect, you'll be paying twice for NHS treatment. Let's say you're someone who's paid into the NHS, who's been working, paying national insurance contributions for however many years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, and you've never really had to go into hospital. But then, as soon as they privatize the NHS and they start charging for treatment, all that money that you paid into the NHS, do you think you're going to get that money back? All those national insurance contributions you've made, thousands of pounds, are you going to get that back? No, you're not going to get it back. Right? All that is going to go into government pockets. Yeah? And you're going to have to pay for your own damn treatment, regardless of all the money you've paid into the system. Yeah? So that should show you how outrageous this is, you know, first and foremost. Now, in terms of the NHS, you know, failing and them needing to do something about it, the NHS is failing. It's definitely failing. It's failing because it's supposed to fail. The government, this government, and the Blair government, and all the governments that have existed over the past 40, 50 years, maybe longer, right, have made, all of them have been working to disenfranchise public services, to the people, and to destroy public services. It don't matter whether it's Labour or Conservative in power, none of them have tried to reverse the trend in privatizing public services. None of them. Right? Thatcher did a lot. Right? She privatized a lot of things and she upset a lot of people, which is why there were so many people celebrating her death this week. But when Labour came in, when the Blair government came in 96, they didn't try and reverse what Thatcher or Major had done. They didn't try and reverse anything that the Conservatives had done in terms of privatization of public services. They didn't do none of that. Alright? So the NHS is failing because they want it to fail. And why do they want it to fail? They want it to fail, and let me explain the reason why they want all public services to fail. They want them to fail because they can't make any money out of them. Because a public service like the NHS exists for the sole purpose of serving the people. Right? The whole reason for the NHS existing is for the good of the people. But as soon as the NHS becomes a private company, its sole purpose for existing will be to make money, to make a profit. You understand what I'm telling you? So the whole ethos, the whole culture of the NHS, the way it's run, will change completely once it becomes totally privatized and they start charging you for treatment. Right? It will then be a company which is run for money and they don't really give a damn about people's health. Whereas right now, being a public service, it is run for the specific purpose of the good of the people. Just like all public services are. Because they can't run for a profit, they run for the people. And let me explain some of the other reasons why privatization is so bad for people, in case you didn't know, alright? For one, it changes the whole feel of a place. If you ain't got the money to pay for your treatment, no one wants to see you. You understand what I'm telling you? Number two, when you have a public service like the NHS, right, because it is effectively owned by the taxpayer, we have a certain amount of say in how that institution is run, because we're paying for it. Yeah, we can legitimately stand up and say we're not happy with the way this is running, and the way this is running, the way they're doing this. We're not happy with, you know, like for example, when they had British Rail, we had a say in ticket prices and this, that, and the other. Do you understand? Once it becomes a private company, we have no say. All right, we've got no say in the way these things are run. We've got no say in ticket prices. We've got no say in the way it's managed. We've got no say when the board members want to pay themselves enormous bonuses, even though we're getting a crap service. We get no say. But when it's a public institution, it's harder for these people to get away with paying themselves big bonuses, because the company is not run for profit. Or sorry, the institution. Yeah, because the NHS is not a company, it's an institution. But once it gets completely privatized, it will become a company, right? Once it's a company, they can pay themselves whatever bonuses they want, they can do whatever the hell they like, and then we have to pay. In the UK, we already have some of the highest tax rates in the world here. And people think it's just income tax. It's not just income tax. National insurance, VAT, right? If you add up all the tax that you pay on each individual item of, you know, food and clothing that you buy, fuel, road tax, all those kind of things, as well as income tax and national insurance, the average person in the UK pays at least 60% of their wages out directly as tax. That's how outrageous this whole, you know, situation is. So privatizing of the NHS will be a terrible thing. Charging will be a terrible thing. But it's all part of an agenda to disenfranchise the public and to try and make money. That's what it's all about, because they know people rely on the NHS. They've got nowhere else to go. They want to exploit people and turn this into a money-making exercise. The people who are really behind this drive to privatize all these public services are the ruling class, the aristocracy, big businesses, you know, big banks and corporations. These people are the ones who are pushing for this to happen over the last 20, 30, 40 years. That's why it makes no difference whether Conservative or Labour are in power. They all push for this privatization agenda. Right? So this is disgusting. It has to stop. We have to speak out about this. Alright? We're already getting taxed to the eyeballs in this country. And on top of that, we're going to be expected to pay extra for healthcare, which we've already paid for. People work decades in this country paying national insurance for, you know, to pay for the NHS. Now we're going to have to pay extra on top of what we've already paid in. Anyone who agrees with privatization of the NHS or any public services is either an idiot or they are someone who stands to gain financially from that privatization. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? You're either an idiot or you're one of the, you know, people, one of those pigs who stands to gain from privatization financially. Alright, so what are the alternatives then? What are the alternative ways to find extra money to save the NHS? Because the NHS is failing. It does need extra money. It does need, you know, more money spent on it to survive and flourish and continue being a public service. What are the alternatives? Well, the government miraculously found trillions. Think about this, people. Trillions of pounds. Trillions. They just miraculously pulled trillions of pounds out of their arse to bail out the banks. Almost on the spur of the moment. As soon as the economy crashed and the banks started failing, trillions of taxpayers' money just came out to bail out the banks. Yet the banks were the ones who caused the crash in the first place, and they're still paying themselves massive bonuses as if they've succeeded when they're being rewarded for failure. All right? So the government finds no issue finding money for banks to pay themselves big bonuses. That's not a problem. They don't have any problem finding money to go and finance wars overseas, billions and billions, bombing people, killing people, you know, where there's oil to be gained from it. There's no, money no object for war. Money is no object. There's never a time when the government say, oh, we can't go to war, we can't go bomb that country over there because we ain't got the money. No, they've always got the money for that, right? As long as they have a financial interest in the country they're bombing, they will spend untold billions and trillions on that war. They don't care. They always find the money to do that, right? So they've bailed out these greedy fat cat bankers. They've found money to go kill people and steal their resources. Right, they find money to finance the lives of the royal family and the aristocracy, who literally live the life of Riley, who have enormous palaces and stately homes and all kinds of things, huge areas of land that they own. Right, these people live off the taxpayer. They find money for that. They find money for MPs' expenses, for them to have second and third homes, cars, and all these kind of things. And as well as that, these MPs also, many of them claim benefits on top of it. It's incredible, right? The government find money for all these things and more. But you're trying to tell me they can't find money for the NHS? Listen, like I keep telling you, anyone who's not intelligent enough to figure it out, right? The government could easily, if it was their agenda, they could easily save the NHS. They could easily get it running wonderfully, right? Easily. But it's not in their agenda to do so. It's not in Labour's agenda, Conservatives. It's none of their agenda to do so. All their money, look where the money's going. If you want to find out where their agenda lies, look where the money's going. It's going to the banks, it's going to the royal family, it's going to lords and MPs, it's going on wars. That's where this money is going. Trillions and trillions and billions is going on these things. Right? That's where they want the money to go. That is what they're interested in. They're not interested in the health of the average person. They couldn't give a shit. Right? As long as you can get up and go to work for them, that's what they care about. Yeah? Once you're past the age of whatever retirement age is, because they keep on raising it, once you get to retirement age, they want you dead and in the ground as quickly as possible. Right? They don't want to be paying you a pension because you're no longer useful to their system. You're no longer a useful slave. You understand what I'm telling you? So they want you dead. So it's not in their agenda to save the NHS. They could easily save it using taxpayers' funds, which are readily available right now, if they just redistribute them correctly, instead of sending them overseas to go kill people, putting them in the pockets of royals and lords and the aristocracy, MPs, all these kind of people. Letting these non-domiciles come to this country, billionaires, and pay no tax, but yet vilify, some single mum, you know what I mean, who's on benefits but working at the same time, cash in hand, and she's got a ton of mouths to feed, and they vilify her as the reason, as the root of the problem, when trillions are going to the bankers. Right? That single mum who's doing a cash in hand job as well as claiming benefits to feed her kids, she is not the one that's making your life, that's ruining your life, that's affecting your life. No, it's the banks are making you lose your house. All right? The banks caused the financial crash. One of the main reasons why house prices and rent prices are so high now is because of Margaret Thatcher, because she sold off nearly 50% of the social housing. All right? But people want to blame single moms, people on benefits, the unemployed, the immigrants. All these kind of people are not the ones who are at the root of the problem in this country. It is the people who run the damn country. They are the problem. Labour, Conservative, these people all work for the same master. You understand? They're all, the government is here to run us. They're not here to run the country. They're here to run us, the little people. But the corporations, the aristocracy, those people are above the government, and those people control the government, and the government do their bidding. Yeah? That's what it's about.